I started as a writer and sold a script and took the money from the sale of that script, borrowed some money from some friends of mine, and made a little picture called It Stalked the Ocean Floor. I sold the picture to Lippert for distribution. I took the money then from It Stalked the Ocean Floor and made a little car racing picture called The Fast and the Furious. I had The Fast and the Furious and I was looking for distribution, and I had offers from Republic and Allied artists. But I didn't really like the terms, and Jim called me and said he was starting a company called American Releasing, and they would be interested in handling my picture for their first film. And I said I understood that. I had 2 offers, but I saw the trap as an independent producer. You put up your money, you made the film, and then you waited for the money to come back before you made the second film. So there was a long length of time between the pictures. And I said I'd be interested in working with them if I could have a 3-picture deal. I would give him The Fast and the Furious, and he would give me back what's known as a pickup. He would pay me back my cost of the film, and then I would have my percentage of profits. And I wanted to have the same deal on 2 more pictures, so each time I finished a picture, I would have at least the negative cost back so I could start another. And I looked at what the directors were doing, and I had no knowledge of directing whatsoever. My degree from Stanford was in engineering, but I thought, I can do that. So on the 3rd film, I wrote the original story. Bob Campbell wrote the script, and I produced it, and I decided to make my debut as a director. I had always liked Westerns, so I shot this picture somewhere out in the San Fernando Valley in, I think, 9 days, called 5 Guns West. And it did very well. I ended up making 4 Westerns, 2 for my own company, which were distributed by AIP, and 2 for AIP. The 2 I did for AIP were Apache Woman and Oklahoma Woman. The 2 I did for my own company were 5 Guns West and Gunslinger. The titles will show you I had a different interpretation of what a Western could be than Jim did, but all 4 pictures were successful, so it was all okay.
The Red Dog is open 24 hours.
Well, you empty your house and put out the lights.
Put them out yourself.
AIP at the beginning was primarily a releasing or distribution organization. I would make a film, and later on a couple of other producers, Herman Cohen, Alex Gordon, a few others came in and also made pictures for AIP. But it was generally independent producers who would make a film, AIP would distribute it, which would mean creating the advertising campaign, the artwork, trailers, television spots, and so forth, and put the picture into theaters.
I'm getting pretty tired of you.
I need food.
I don't care what you need. Look what you done to me. You not only made a butcher out of me, but you drove my girl away.
Shut up and bring on the food.
Don't tell me to shut up. You shut up.
I first met Chuck Griffith at a party. He was just starting his career as a writer, and he was co-writing with Mark Hanna. They wrote together 1 or 2 scripts for me, and then they divided amiably, and Chuck continued as a writer, and he wrote any number of scripts for me. He was a very good writer, and he directed several films for me as well.
This man, take a good look at him. He's a specialist. He knows exactly how to turn this quiet town into a hell of violence.
I had met Chuck Beaumont several years before I worked with him on the Poe pictures. He had written a novel called The Intruder about racial integration in the South. I liked the novel very much, and I decided I wanted to make it, so I bought the novel and hired Chuck to write the screenplay. The picture was made, got wonderful reviews, but was not a commercial success. I think maybe we were too serious on the film, but it went to a number of film festivals. One of the New York critics, I can still remember, he said, The Intruder is a major credit to the entire American film industry. It was the first film I ever made that lost money.
You should never believe everything your eyes tell you, young man. Is that the girl you think you saw?
Yes, of course.
Before you say anything else, examine the portrait closely, the signature, and above all, the date.
$1786? But that's 20 years ago.
The Terror was made because it rained on a Sunday afternoon and I was scheduled to play tennis, and I was sitting around my house and I had nothing to do on Sunday afternoon. I was shooting The Raven and I had 1 week to go to finish The Raven. I had the idea maybe I could use the sets from The Raven, which were really very good, and come in for a couple of days, a week from the next day, and shoot on those sets before they were torn down. So I called Leo Gordon, who was a writer, who was a good friend of mine. He came over, and on the Sunday afternoon, we worked out the storyline of The Raven. And then during the week, his assignment was to write around 30 or more pages of the script, which I was going to shoot 15 pages a day or even a little more on Monday and Tuesday of the following week. And Monday morning, I went to the dressing room of Vincent and asked him if he would be interested in playing the Baron von Lepp, the lead heavy in the picture. And Vincent said he would, but we were finishing on Friday and he was going on a tour on Saturday lecturing about art. He was a great critic and had a great knowledge of art. So he couldn't do it. I went to Boris Karloff's dressing room next, and Boris said, fine, he'd be happy to do it. So I had the Baron set for 2 days, and I had a name actor for the Baron. Jack Nicholson was playing the young lead in The Raven, and his dressing room was next. So I went to Jack, and I said, look, Jack, here's my idea for a picture called The Terror. I'm going to shoot with Boris for 2 days, next Monday and Tuesday. I will then shut down because I don't have any more money, and I need a young leading man. You could be the leading man. You work 2 days with Boris. Boris is going back to England, and then when I get more money, you will take over and you will be the lead in the picture. And he said, great. Can Sandy play the leading lady? Sandra Knight was his wife. I said, sure, she's a good actress. So I had my cast set. So we shot Monday and Tuesday with Boris. Boris went back to England, and we shut down until I had a little money to go out and shoot. It hadn't occurred to me up until then. I was signed with all of the unions, and I'm a member of the Directors Guild, which meant I had to bring along union personnel and Directors Guild assistants and so forth. So I couldn't really shoot these other scenes. My ace assistant was Francis Coppola. So I said, Francis, I've got a little, this was a few weeks later, I've got a little money. Here, we've got some pages. I've had it written for Big Sur because I don't have a studio anymore. Why don't you go up to Big Sur and you direct this? So Francis went up with Jack and Sandy and directed a number of days at Big Sur, which is all the money I had. Then Francis got a job at a major studio, and I had some more money. Jack Hill came in and directed a couple of days. Then later on, Monty Hellman directed a couple of days. And finally, we had 1 day to go to finish the picture. And Jack came to me and said, Roger, every idiot in town has directed part of this picture. Let me direct the last day. I said, sure, Jack, direct the last day. So we cut the whole picture together, and it didn't make a great deal of sense. Each director had a different interpretation, and when we put the picture together, 2 things were against it. It was slightly incomprehensible, and it was a little dull. So I came up with a twist ending. By that time, I was doing another Poe picture, and I had a big set. So I brought Jack Nicholson and Dick Miller back at the end of shooting, and I shot a couple of hours in the evening in a final scene where Jack throws Dick up against the wall and says, I've been lied to ever since I came to this palace. Tell me the story of what is happening. At which point Dick tells a whole different story from what we'd shot, but it was more interesting and gave us a snap ending than what we shot. Weirdly enough, critics tried to explain the plot, and I never really went around saying, you know, there was no story here.
You're safe now. It's over. It's over. Do you understand? You're free now.
Free? Andre.